Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today we have learned that DICE is basically going to be changing every single weapon in Battlefield 4. It is currently on the CTE, so nothing is set in stone. If these changes sound atrocious and you think it's the worst thing that's ever happened in a Battlefield, it may not happen, and if everyone completely disagrees with it, it probably won't happen. But when I jumped on to the CTE to check out all of the new patch notes, I was blown away by everything that they are doing to try to add in some more weapon balance. And so the first thing that caught me by surprise is that the assault rifles are flat out getting nerfed. Not only is their maximum bullet spread being increased, so if you hold down the trigger for a good couple of seconds, your bullets are gonna fly around and deviate a lot more than they did in the past, but they're also going to be increasing the recoil, making most of them just harder to control in general. I don't think that these nerfs are all of a sudden going to make the assault class completely worthless. I still think that these are going to be the dominant weapons in Battlefield 4, but it seems like they felt like they were just a little bit too dominant in infantry-based gameplay, and they wanted to reduce their effectiveness, especially for people that would just hold down the trigger and get kills way out in the distance without really having to compensate for recoil. And so if you are someone who doesn't really have much of a problem compensating for a little bit more recoil and you're adjusted to tap firing, these changes probably won't have too much of impact on your gameplay. One change that I love to see is that the PDWs are going to be getting an upgrade. You guys know I love playing as the engineer class. I love using the straws, and honestly, I even love using the PDWs, but when we really get down to it, they're fairly lackluster to all of the other kits in the game. I mean, if you're using an LMG or an assault rifle, you are gonna blow pretty much every PDW player out of the water. And so the fact that they are now seeing a slight upgrade in their bullet spread, they're seeing some improvements to their bullet spread, this is a nice step in the right direction. Essentially what DICE is trying to do here is that they want to make the personal defense weapons the preferred weapon of choice for close encounter combat and while you're on the move. I still don't think that this is going to be enough to all of a sudden make the PDWs amazing. I still think that many people are going to gravitate on over towards the assault rifles because I think that the real heart of the issue right now is that the PDWs, while they're solid in close encounter combat, they don't have that huge advantage that you would hope for to justify all of their weaknesses at medium to long range engagements. Like when you're in a firefight with an assault rifle in close encounter combat, you really do not have that large of advantage. I would say that they're mainly on par, especially if they're going against someone who's using an AEK, but that AEK user is going to be able to dominate you at medium to long range. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, there's really no reason to use the personal defense weapons. And so in my eyes, what really needs to happen is that the PDWs really need to be the dominant force in close encounter combat, of course struggling at medium to long range, while the assault rifles are gonna struggle a little bit more, especially when they go against a PDW in those close encounter situations, but then of course get the advantage the further out the target goes. Regardless, I think that this is a great step in the right direction. I'm glad that DICE is finally bringing some love to the PDWs. I still think that they can push it a little bit further, give them a little bit more upgrades, but honestly, any improvement I think is a good one. Another interesting adjustment is that the carbines are also getting a little bit of the nerf bet. You're gonna have to deal with more recoil when using the carbines. And so while it's not substantial, it's not a crazy difference, the carbines are not gonna be useless if you're someone who likes to run around with the carbines as the recons because you hate using the bolt action rifles, but you really like the gadgets that the recon provides. You're still gonna be effective, but it is gonna be a little bit more challenging because you will have more recoil to compensate for. DMRs are gonna get a little bit of a bullet spread increase just to make it so that they're not as effective at counter sniping other recons that are using bolt action rifles. And so it basically just aligns them in that role where you can still snipe people from long range. You're still gonna be able to take people out at a distance, but if you are using a DMR as the assault class, you're not gonna be able to counter snipe an enemy recon who's 200 meters away as effectively as you would in the past. Once again, all of this is not set in stone, and they are making small adjustments here and there to all of the weapons. This is just kind of a generalization of what they've done to the weapon balance, but if you haven't jumped onto the CTE yet, I highly recommend that you do, because I'm pretty sure that there are going to be guns that are now going to start to rise to the top, and your favorites may not be your favorites anymore, and there might be some better choices on the battlefield. One change that I love, and hopefully DICE is going to be adding this soon, is that the headshot headshot multiplier has been increased. You may have noticed since the most recent update that for normal version of Battlefield, the one that we're playing right now, since all of the weapon damage has been decreased, it now requires 3 headshots in close encounter combat with any assault rifle to drop your enemy from 100% to 0. That seems a little excessive. Like, that seems like that's too many headshots using an assault rifle to drop someone from that health pool. And so what they're doing on the CTE right now is that with this new headshot multiplier, they're increasing it slightly. So now with most guns, I don't think it applies to every single weapon in the game, but most weapons, basically all the assault rifles, if your enemy is a good 20 meters and closer, I think that's basically the cutoff, if you're getting 2 headshots back to back, you're gonna be able to drop them with only those 2 rounds. This is awesome. I love this adjustment because it rewards players who are skillful. If you are someone who is just amazing at getting headshots back to back, you're going to be more likely to come out of firefights alive. And so overall, I think this is an amazing addition into the game, and I am really crossing my fingers that they do add this to the normal version of Battlefield 4. One thing that caught me off guard is that DICE is once again making even more adjustments to the suppression effect, and it's now to the point where it's going to be even more devastating if you are fully suppressed than the normal version of Battlefield 4 that we have to deal with right now. Not only are you going to have to deal with more vertical recoil, but you're going to have to deal with more first shot recoil, more bullet spread, alongside all of the other things that we have to deal with right now. The bullet deviation, the fuzzy screen, and all that kind of stuff. The thing about it, though, is that they're changing the way that you get suppressed. If an enemy is 20 meters and closer and he's trying to take you out, he's probably not going to be able to suppress you anymore. He would probably have to put his entire magazine down range and miss all of the shots and have to, of course, get around you to activate the 100% suppression effect. That would be the only way to go about it. Like, your bullets in close encounter combat don't have a lot of oomph to it when it comes to causing a suppression effect. As soon as you start to get further and further away, though, that's when your bullets have more of a suppression effect, and that's when the mechanic is really going to start to kick in. Essentially what DICE is trying to do here is minimize the amount of times that you are suppressed. When I was running around for a couple of hours, I've only had a few hours to test on it in the CTE, so maybe my experience is going to be a little bit different from you guys, but I noticed that I wasn't getting suppressed as often because most of my conflict was within, 20 to 30 meters. Most times I wasn't even getting suppressed whatsoever, but when someone was actively trying to suppress me way out in the distance, that's when it was activating and it was having this massive impact on my gameplay. And so personally, I don't think that this is a terrible change. I like the fact that I'm not getting suppressed as frequently on the battlefield, but it also gives players the option who really want to play that supportive role. If you're someone who, maybe doesn't have the best accuracy, but you do want to still support people with your light machine gun, you can stay a little bit away from the combat, lay down some covering fire, and basically put all of your enemies at a disadvantage if you are causing them to be fully suppressed. And so I'm not 100% sold on the idea. I never really like randomness when I'm playing a first-person shooter, and that's what the suppression effect is all about. I do like that it doesn't happen as often. I like that it's more of a conscious decision, but like I said, only time will tell. Maybe after a few hours more of playing on the CTE, I'll warm up to the idea, but it is definitely a very interesting addition into the game. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's update. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about all of these changes. Once again, nothing is set in stone. They want to get our feedback, and so do you like the idea that things are being adjusted weapon balance-wise? Do you like that there is going to be a more dramatic increase to the suppression effect if you are fully suppressed? Let me know down below. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.